Hi and welcome to TTN Info TV SK channel. My name is Syed and here I am with the latest news Friday 30th June 2023. Saudi Arabia unveils plans to link Haramain Train with Mashair Train. Minister of Transport and Logistics Saleh Al Jasir announced that studies are underway to link the Haramain high-speed train with the Mashair Train to serve the Hajj pilgrims. Speaking to local media, Al Jasir said that in-depth studies are being carried out between the transportation system and the Royal Commission for Makkah City and Holy Sites to find the best solution to link these two projects directly through the Makkah Haram. Al Jasir said that the total number of passengers who use the Mashair train reached about 1.5 million pilgrims during this year, and some more trips will be operated over the coming days. Number of heat exhaustion injuries in Hajj 2023 is steadily increasing. The Ministry of Health confirmed that the number of pilgrims who suffered from heat exhaustion and heat stroke injuries during Hajj 2023 is witnessing a steady increase. The number of injuries so far today reached 1,721, which was monitored in heat exhaustion centers in all hospitals in Makkah and the holy sites, the ministry announced. The Ministry of Health also said that the cause of the pilgrims' injuries resulted from their failure to adhere to the instructions they had issued. The ministry continued to announce its warning to the pilgrims, asking them to adhere to several things, including the use of an umbrella throughout the day, staying hydrated and drinking sufficient amounts of water and fluids. Pakistan veteran actor Shakeel passes away at 85. Immortalized by his thespian excellence in PTV's play like Uncle Urfi, Angan Tera and Parchiya, season actor Yusuf Kamal, commonly known by his screen name Shakeel, succumbed to protracted illness in Karachi on Thursday, family source confirmed to Geo News. The veteran actor had undergone a bypass surgery some years ago and suffered from arthritis, a disease of the joints. For the past several years, Shakeel had difficulty walking and was often helped by an employee. Sindh Chief Minister Murad Ali Shah expressed deep sorrow over the death of senior actor Shakeel, the Sindh Chief Minister's spokesman said. Gunmen killed during attack on US consulate in Jeddah, Saudi Arabia. An armed man who attacked the American consulate building in Jeddah on Wednesday was killed after an exchange of fire, an official spokesman said. A Nepali worker in the consulate security guard has died after suffering a serious injury during the exchange of fire. The spokesman for Makkah police said that the security investigations are still underway to ascertain the circumstances of the accident. On Wednesday evening at 6:45 p.m., a person in a car stopped near the American consulate building in Jeddah and got out carrying a firearm in his hand. Security authorities took the initiative to deal with him, required by the situation, the statement read. Muslim countries condemns Qur'an burning protest in Stockholm. Several Middle Eastern countries including Saudi Arabia, Iraq and Iran have condemned a proactive incident in which man burned pages from the Qur'an outside a Stockholm mosque, denouncing it as incentive to hatred. At a rally authorized by the Swedish authorities on Wednesday, which Muslims mark as the Eid al-Adha celebration, an Iraqi man who had fled his country for Sweden trampled on a copy of Islam's holy book outside the capital's largest mosque before ripping out and burning several of its pages. While the authorities gave permission for the protest by Salvan Momika, police said afterward they were investigating this action as a potential act of agitation against an ethnic group. This was the latest in a string of such incidents in Sweden and other European countries, sometimes at the instigation of far-right movements which have previously led to diplomatic tensions. Turkish Foreign Minister Hakan Fidan condemned the despicable action, deeming it unacceptable to allow this anti-Islamic action under the pretext freedom of expression. Indian police stopped Rahul Gandhi's tour of violence hit Indian state. Indian opposition leader and Congress MP Rahul Gandhi's tour of the violence-hit Manipur state has been stopped abruptly by the police, the party said. Mr. Gandhi is in the northern eastern state on a two-day visit to meet people displaced by the violence and leaders of civil society group. For the past 2 months, Manipur has been convulsed by clashes between the majority Meitei and Kuki communities. More than 100 people have died and over 400 have been wounded so far. Prime Minister Narendra Modi has held a meeting with the top government officials to review the situation in Manipur, but he has been criticized for not visiting the state or commenting on the situation there. Pakistan former Prime Minister Nawaz Sharif to decide about PMLN's alliance for upcoming elections. Latif. Federal ministers and Pakistan Muslim League Nawaz leader Mian Javed Latif has said that the party supremo Nawaz Sharif will decide about the PMLN alliance for the upcoming election. Addressing a press conference at the party's model town office on Wednesday, he said earlier Nawaz was 8 hours away from Pakistan and now he was only 2.5 hours away. He said prosperity would return whenever Nawaz returned to the country. The federal minister said friendly countries were making the investment in Pakistan at the request of Nawaz, as he would become the Prime Minister of Pakistan for the 4th time. France shooting, 150 people arrested as the unrest spreads over police killing. At least 150 people have been arrested in France on a second night of mass unrest over Tuesday fatal shooting of a 17-year-old by police near Paris during a traffic check. Town halls, schools and police stations were set on fire or attacked in the Paris region and other cities. President Emmanuel Macron said the riots were unjustified and held a crisis meeting of his cabinet. Nahelem was shot at point-blank range as he drove away from police. In a post on social media, Interior Minister Gerald Darmanin condemned the escalating unrest, saying French had witnessed a night of unbearable violence. Clashes were reported across suburbs of Paris, but some of the most violent confrontations were in Nanterre, where the teenager was shot dead. Local authorities were forced to partially withdraw Le Monde reported. UK government plans to deport migrants to Rwanda in unlawful court rules. The Court of Appeal ruled on Thursday that the British government's plan to deport asylum seekers to Rwanda is unlawful, dealing a setback to Prime Minister Rishi Sunak's campaign to stop migrants crossing the channel in small boats. Three senior appeal judges ruled by a majority that Rwanda could not be treated as a safe third country. Under a deal struck last year, the government planned to send tens of thousands of asylum seekers who arrive on its shores more than 4,000 miles to the East African country. France's highest administrative court says the soccer federation can ban headscarves in matches. France's highest administrative jurisdiction said Thursday the country's soccer federation is entitled to ban headscarves in matches. The Council of State issued its ruling after a collective headscarf wearing soccer players called Les Hijabis. The word hijab refers to the headscarf campaign against the ban and launched legal action. The French Soccer Federation bans players from wearing headscarves in official matches as well as its competition it's organized. It's not in line with the recommendations of soccer government body FIFA, which authorized players to compete at international level with headscarves. The Council of State said sport federation may impose on the players an obligation to wear neutral clothing during sporting competition and events in order to guarantee the smooth running of matches and prevent clashes or confrontation. It considers that the ban imposed by the FFF is appropriate and proportionate. The Council of State did not follow its public rapporteur's recommendations, who earlier this week said Article 1 of the Federation's rules should be annulled. The article prohibits the wearing of any sign or dress ostensible manifesting a religious affiliation and applies to match and competitions organized. It is unclear whether the ban would be implemented for next year's Paris Olympics. Germany 5.5 million Muslims are often exposed to everyday structural racism, report find. Racism, hatred, and sometimes violence against Muslims in Germany are widespread and often part of their everyday experience, according to a new report presented at the Interior Ministry in Berlin on Thursday. The independent group of experts on Muslim hostility worked for 3 years on the comprehensive report about racism and hostility towards the country. 5.5 million Muslims. The group analyzes scientific studies, police crime, statistics, and documentation of anti-Muslim incidents by anti-discrimination agencies, counseling centers, and non-governmental organizations. After quite of 16 days, 2 killed in Manipur as raiders fired at army. At least 2 men were killed in Manipur's Kangpokpi district after a gunfight erupted between security forces and armed miscreants were attacking hill villages, police and armed officials said on Thursday. Several others were injured. A defense source said the attack was premeditated as they had received inputs on Wednesday night about miscreants planning violence. The deaths come after a quite of 16 days in violence hit Manipur. While there were sporadic incidents of arson and vandalism, no killings were reported since June 13. Pakistan's PTS Ali Muhammad Khan remanded to jail in corruption case. Central leader of Pakistan Tehreek-e-Insaf Ali Muhammad Khan was remanded in judicial custody on Wednesday after a magistrate rejected the plea of anti-corruption establishment officials for seeking his 14 days physical remand. The former minister was arrested for the 6th time on Tuesday in yet another corruption case shortly after being released by a special court from Mardan jail. On Wednesday, when officials produced him before the judicial magistrate to seek physical remand, the court rejected the request and sent 2 PTO leader to prison on judicial remand. The PTA leader was taken into custody by a ACE official in a case registered against him on June 26. Only 4 days ago, the government had informed Peshawar High Court that there were no case against him. Prachanda used his India visit to his political benefit, parry domestic criticism. After his return from India earlier this month, Nepal Prime Minister Pushpa Kamal Dahal Prachanda kept himself quite busy justifying how successful his trip to the south was. In doing so, he even overemphasized the visit, a time just an opposition party dismissed its ritualistic. World Bank approved $700 million for crisis hit Sri Lanka. The World Bank has approved $700 million in financings to help Sri Lanka to recover from the current economic crisis and provide relief to the poor and vulnerable people, the biggest funding tranche since the IMF deal in March. Cash-strapped Sri Lanka is currently struggling with the worst economic crisis in history. Sri Lankan Central Bank moves recast of pension funds haircut on sovereign bonds. Sri Lankan Central Bank has proposed restructuring the beleaguered nation's debt by recasting the outgo on the country's pension funds and offering international sovereign bondholder a repayment plan that entails 30% haircut. Addressing a media briefing in Colombo Thursday morning, Central Bank Governor Nandalal Veerasinghe unveiled the Ranil Wickremesinghe government's domestic debt restructuring plan that seeks to protect local banks while effectively transferring them to superannuation funds, including the Employees Provident Fund. The central bank will convert treasury bills and extend superannuation funds treasury bonds to longer-term maturity treasury bonds at a lower interest rate. Misleading CBFC sets record straight on 72 Horan trailer. Misleading, that is how the Central Board of Film Certification has described the storm in a teacup striped by the Ashok Pandit with regard to the trailer of the upcoming film 72 Horan. The board has officially stated that the report about the film's trailer not getting a censor certificate are misleading as they don't paint a complete picture. The certification of the trailer is under due process. The board officially communicated the contrary to report the film Bahattar Hure was granted A certification on October 4, 2019. The certificate for the trailer of the film directed by Sanjay Puran Singh Chauhan was applied for on June 19, 2023 and it is under due process. UAE launches first satellite into space. In a historic move, the Mohammed bin Rashid Space Center of the United Arab Emirates achieved a significant milestone as it successfully launched the first mission of the Payload Hosting Initiative. The Payload Hosting Initiative demo satellite, a remarkable feat for the Arab world, has now been deployed into orbit. The historic launch took place from Russia's Vostochny Cosmodrome, with the satellite mechanical components proudly manufactured in the UAE in collaboration with the private sector. Positioned at an altitude of approximately 550 km, the satellite is a result of the joint effort of MBRSC, American University, REK, Khalifa University, and other partner universities. The Director General of Mohammed bin Rashid Space Center expressed his delight and pride in the successful launch of the PHI demo satellite, which was entirely constructed in the UAE. That's all in today's headlines. Thanks for watching. If you want to receive more important headlines around the world, keep watching T10 Info TV SK channel by subscribing and hit the bell icon to receive notification.